Well, good afternoon. This is Bill Garrett, President of Crystal Ray, and I want to thank you for being with us this afternoon. I hope you and your family are safe and that your students are getting through these challenging times. We look forward to the day when we can all come back together again and celebrate the accomplishments of the class of 2020, as well as continue learning in the way that we had become accustomed to before the coronavirus hit. As you all know, we sent out an email this week saying that we will finish up the school year on May 15th and that we will not be going back to the building. We did ask if you had any questions or concerns, and therefore have this session in order to address any questions or concerns you might have. Some of those questions and concerns have been asked prior to the start of this conference. If you would like to ask during the course of this conference, feel free to go to the chat box and send in a question to our moderator, and then she will send the question to me, and either myself, Ms. Naughton, or Dr. Bush will answer them. So to begin with, we're going to answer the questions that have come up regarding the academic situation, and Dr. Bush will handle those questions. Dr. Bush?
Thank you. The question that we had was about AP classes and how will they be calculated for scholarships. AP classes are calculated basically for Hope Scholarship, because each individual class is looked at and only specific classes are used to calculate for Hope Scholarship. The results of an AP exam are not calculated in any way for scholarship, and they're not factored into any student's grades. So right now we weight AP classes with 8 extra points each semester for students, and that's a traditional way of weighting the AP classes. Hope Scholarship unweights classes in specific ways, so it'll unweight an honors class and unweight the AP class, the 8 points. They don't take them all away, but they have a specific way of looking at AP classes. As I think every AP class that we have is calculated in Hope Scholarship, so that's the only specific scholarship that AP classes are looked at as individual classes. For every other scholarship that seniors are awarded, their classes are looked at all together. So the student's grade point average is looked at, as well as standardized test scores, in order to determine scholarship eligibility. I think that was the biggest academic question. If anybody else has any other questions.
Dr. Bush, the other question was about final grades.
Okay. Final grades, the last day of classes, May 15th, grades will be looked at. There will be a catch-up day this Friday. We had one several weeks ago before spring break, where students were given the opportunity to turn in assignments with no penalty, assignments that were late. And then the teachers graded those assignments. We're going to have another catch-up day on this Friday. The grades that the students are being assigned now are also going to be calculated into final grade point average. Teachers are very aware when students have issues, as long as students communicate. We've had some students who've been sick, students with internet issues, and the teachers can either excuse the assignment or they can ask the student to make it up at a later date. But all the work that your student is doing, your child is doing, will still be calculated into the final grade point average. Grades will not be finished until May 29th, but we want all the students working very hard up until May 15th and turning in every assignment, communicating with counselors and with teachers if there are issues. The teachers are very understanding of the issues.
Thank you, Dr. Bush. So I will address a few questions that came up, but before I do that, I gave you bad information. The chat box is not functioning, but what is functional is the Q&A box. So if you have a question, usually for me anyway, if I tap on the bottom part of my screen, a few icons come up, including one that says Q&A. If you have questions that you would like to have addressed during this session, feel free to send them in on the Q&A box. Okay, so there were three things that I would like to talk about. The first is reference letters. Reference letters are continuing to be sent to colleges. The counseling department is working hard. College counseling is working hard. As we know, there's only, for most colleges, we only have a week and a half before the acceptance deadline is upon us. And so the college counseling is trying to work with you and the colleges to make sure that you have the best possible offer and full information about how to make a decision as to what's best for your student, your child, and what's best for you in terms of financial position. But college counseling is working hard. Feel free to reach out to Ms. Buckner at any time. The second question was regarding lockers and cleaning out of lockers. Fortunately, many students took most of the valuable things out of their locker when we left campus about 5 weeks ago now. But we do realize that some students have things in their lockers. So we're going to do two things. The first is if there's nothing of any great value and the student is returning to Cristo Rey in July of 2020, next year, we will move the stuff that's in their current locker into their new locker. So we will do it ourselves if there's nothing of great value in there. If, however, you would like to get whatever in your locker, by Friday of this week, there will be a sign-up sheet, a Google sign-up sheet for you to pick a 15-minute slot to come to the school, go into the building by yourself, go to your locker, clean it out, and then exit the building. This way, we will only have one person in the building at a time, and therefore eliminate the possibility of contact with others, but we'll give you a chance to clean out your locker. So this will happen on the Google sign-up sheet will go out on Friday of this week, and it will give you options in terms of times to come in for your 15-minute interval to go upstairs, clean out your locker, and then leave the building. We're not going to let people stay and linger and to talk to their friends because we just don't think it's healthy for us to do so. And the last question I will address is the prom question. A number of questions have come up regarding prom. And here's the way we're going to deal with prom. Prom is not going to take place this year. There's too much logistical challenges. Our fervent desire is that we will have graduation, but to try to do much other than graduation is probably not going to happen. But we have decided we are not going to hold prom. For the seniors who have paid for prom, we will be contacting them and asking if they would like to donate the proceeds, which I believe was $45, to the family fund. If they would like to do that, we will convert the money into the family fund and be used for families in need, Cristo Rey families in need. If they would rather get the money back, assuming their account is in order, we will send a check out probably we'll probably leave our offices around May 1st, and then it would come to them a few days thereafter. For juniors, we will be applying the prom payment to the 21 prom, when they're seniors, we'll apply their payment that they've already made to their prom when they're a senior. So those are the two questions that I was going to address. And again, if you have questions, feel free to go to the Q&A box on the bottom of your screen, click that button, and send in the questions. And Ms. Marburger will be happy to send them to me. As of right now, she says no other questions have come in except for the earlier ones that we've already addressed. Now, there's one other further question about next year. and Ms. Naughton will be happy to address that question.
Thank you, Mr. Garrett. There was one question about concern over cutting funding for some programs at the school next year. Obviously, everyone is having a hard time economically, but as of today, we have no intention of cutting any programs. The corporate work study fees that we receive are definitely at risk. And so we're going to be prudent next year, but nothing is intended to be cut. We may streamline some things, but right now all programs will stay as they are.
Okay, so as of now, we do not have any additional questions, but if you would like to ask a question, this is your opportunity to do so, because we've addressed all the questions that were asked prior to this meeting. So Ms. Marburger, I'm not seeing any additional questions come up. Somebody again asked about the locker. The lockers we will move the materials that are in your locker if you're a returning student, and we will move it into your new locker. Or by Friday of this week, we will have a sign-up sheet for you to sign up for a 15-minute window to come to the building, clean out your locker, and then leave the building within that 15 minutes. Okay, let's see if there's anything else. Is there a possibility that our tuition will change? No. If you're having challenges meeting your financial obligation that has been set for you by the school, I encourage you to reach out to our finance department, particularly Ms. Deutsch, and talk to her so that she can address your particular financial challenges and work out a plan for you. In addition, if you're having challenges beyond paying tuition, if you're having challenges paying rent or utilities or food or whatever, we do have a family fund that we have sent to families on numerous occasions in our newsletters. And I encourage you to apply to that family fund. We've had a number of very generous donors, including one very generous donor today. So we do have some resources available to help our families that are in need. And for those of you that are saying hello, I say hello back. Thank you very much. This is kind of a weird format to be doing it in because I can't see anybody, but yeah, it's been an interesting year. It's been a very interesting year. It's not the way any of us intended it to end. But I will assure you that Cristo Rey Atlanta has the financial wherewithal to make sure not only it survives, but it thrives for the next couple of years, regardless of the challenging economic conditions we're going to be in. Ms. Naughton has done a great job on the budget for next year, but our board has been very prudent in stewarding the funds that have been given to our organization, and we do have reserves that will carry us through some of these challenging times. Okay, so one suggestion, Ms. Bush, Dr. Bush, was that if you could just repeat your questions because a couple of parents joined afterwards.
Okay, so the first thing, let's just talk about grades. Grades will continue to be calculated through May 15th. We will have the occasional make-up days the way we will this Friday. It's going to be a catch-up day for assignments where if a student has not turned in an assignment, is late, there will be no new assignments on Friday. That will be the day that they can catch up on all their assignments. Please keep your children working with teachers. If there are challenges, let them communicate with the teacher. The teachers are very understanding of the home situations, and so they can excuse an assignment if something's going on. We've had several students who've been very sick, that a lot of the assignments have been excused. But if you don't communicate with the teachers or the counselors, they have no way of knowing what is going on at home. So grades will continue to accumulate for the rest of semester 2, but we will understand when some things are going on. The other question had to do with AP classes and how will they be calculated. AP exams, and this is as far as scholarships go, AP exams never factor into scholarships. The results of AP exams don't come back until midsummer. So there's no way for the seniors that any AP exam results would ever be calculated. AP classes are calculated in the Hope Scholarship. Like every other class that has extra points, honors classes have extra points and AP classes have extra points. The Hope Scholarship unweights those classes in a specific way. AP classes get 8 extra points every semester. Not all the 8 points are taken away, but somehow they recalculate the bump students get from having extra points. The AP classes, the grades that end up in that class are calculated into the Hope Scholarship. Every other scholarship just looks at a grade point average together, not at specific classes.
Okay, we had another question that came in regarding the corporate work study program. And yes, we do recognize that this is going to be a challenging year for companies to participate with us. And frankly, the future, the next 3, 4, 5 months are vastly unknown. But our hope is that the companies will come back and that we will be back in school in July, and that the companies will start with us right after Labor Day as they have had in the past. We are making it an option for the companies to pay us what they can, when they can, if they are in financial straits, but do provide a good, meaningful job for our students. So we want our students to have great experiences in the corporate work study. Fortunately, we do have the financial wherewithal to withstand a situation where a portion of our companies decided to provide a job for our student, but we're not in a position to pay us. Even if that does happen, we will be able to survive that on a financial basis. But we do fully anticipate that we will have a good cohort of jobs for our students next year. Ms. Norton, you want to add anything to that?
Not really. I think what you said did a good job summing it up. But yes, we are asking all of our current partners to come back and that we'll just work out payment with them later, because we do feel like we have such a great relationship with the companies that we are in partnership with right now. So we don't want to be out looking for new ones who aren't prepared to give your children the best possible experience. So as of today, they will be going to out to work in September. So that is our plan.
So in terms of the start date for school next year, really that's just unknowable at this point in time. We want to start as early as feasible, certainly not before July 27th, but as early as we possibly can. But all of that is very much up in the air, depending upon what the governor allows us to do or what restrictions are put on us. In terms of graduation, we do have graduation plans for July 17th is the date that we have established for our graduating seniors, the class of 2020. It is our hope that we will be able to hold graduation at that time, and it will be as lively and as festive as the first 2 graduations. The day before, on July 16th, and I think we agreed at 5 o'clock. I think at 5 o'clock we're going to hold the baccalaureate mass, and then the award ceremony at 6 o'clock on July 16th, and then July 17th at 10 a.m. would be graduation. If there's no further questions, I thank you for your support of your children, our faculty and staff, and Crystal Ray. You are very much in our prayers. These are difficult times for our nation, for our school, but in particularly difficult times for many of our families. We do understand that, and you are very much in our prayers. God bless. Have a great evening.
There was one more question that just came through.
Okay.
Like a little clarification on the start date. And yes, it does say on the master calendar that school will start on August 10th. We would like to have the possibility to come back early if we can, because we'd like to make up some of the lost academics that the students have had during this virtual learning time. But we have no idea if that's even possible. So we will be in contact with you a lot. Please be patient with us. We are all trying to adapt as much as we can to things that seem to change every day. So please do know that there's a chance that we will come back a little bit early.
But not before the 27th of July. So somewhere between the 27th of July and August 10th, assuming we're allowed back in the building. Okay, re-enrollment. Yes, if we do need folks to re-enroll. And Ms. Deutsch has sent out some re-enrollment information. So if you can just complete the form. And we're going to have different ways for you to pay the deposit. But it's important that at the very least, you send an email to Crystal Ray so that we know that your child is going to come back for next year, because the number of students we have is a critical factor for us in terms of the number of jobs we need. So the sooner we can determine how many students will be returning and how many new students will be coming, we'll have a better handle on how many jobs we need. So please work with Ms. Isabel or Ms. Deutsch on the re-enrollment forms if you have any questions. Hey, Melanie, any other questions? Ms. Marburger?
There's one about May 15th. Will we come back to the school with the governor opening up the state a little bit? Will we change?
No. No, we're not coming back. No, we're not coming back.
The link to the re-enrollment was emailed to parents, so they can look for that link in their email.
Okay, so the parents have received a link for the re-enrollment. Feel free to use that link to re-enroll your student for next year. It's important that we get that done as quickly as possible so we have a better handle on how many students will be in the school, so we know how many jobs we will need. Thank you all. Have a great evening.